All right, good morning and welcome to today's session. We have a jam-packed week. We have today and tomorrow, and then we have the 8th, 9th, and 10th. And we're going to hear from some of the top business schools in the world. And so today's first session is with HEC Paris. And my name is Josh. I'm with GMAT Club. And today's presenter for HEC Paris is Eléonore. So Eléonore, I'll let you present yourself, and then you can go straight into your presentation. And after you're done, I'll come back on and we'll answer some questions.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm really happy to be there today also to talk a bit more about HEC Paris. So I'm Eléonore, I'm recruitment manager at HEC Paris, which means that in a nutshell, my job is really to guide you throughout the application process and to answer any question that you might have. So don't hesitate to reach me and my colleague and me at any time after this presentation. Well, we're going to try to be quite concise with this presentation and to make it in 20 minutes so that we can have time for your question at the end. So please, yes, you can I know that you already have some questions. So yes, we will take time to answer them. We're going to start with a short presentation about HEC Paris, then the master's program, and we'll end up with the application process. Well, we can just start with the first slide and introduction about HEC Paris. So at HEC Paris, we have a wide offer and wide range of program. We have what we call the pre-experience program and the master's program. That's the program I'm working for. And those programs are geared towards students between 0 and 2 years of work experience. If you have more than 3 years work experience, then in this case, an MBA program might be a better fit for you. And if you have even more experience, more than 10 years, in this case, an executive program can be a better fit for you. We have also what we call non-degree programs, like the PhD, that are much more designed for research, and the summer school program that can be a good taste for you before committing into one of our master's program. Well, I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide about the ranking because I think that they speak by themselves. But there's one ranking that I find actually quite interesting, the fact that we are ranked third by the Alma Mater Index, which means that we are behind Stanford and Harvard, the third school in the world to train CEOs and leaders in their industry. So it shows you how leadership is important for us. It's something that we're going to assess during the application process, and also something we're going to teach you. If you have a look at the facts and figures just below, you can see that we have 4,500 students enrolled in our program. It means all the program that we saw on the previous slide. And it's a very international and diverse environment, as we have 105 different nationalities represented on the campus. Diversity is really something important for us in terms of nationality, but also in terms of background, because we're welcoming students in our master programs from very different backgrounds. It can be, of course, from business school, from engineering school, but also from any other background. So yes, really feel free if you are interested in the school to ask us the question that you have. Another figure that I find quite interesting is the fact that we have about 6,000 alumni represented in 135 countries. More than the number, it's a very dynamic network. We have chapters all around the world, in Shanghai, in New York, in Paris, in Frankfurt, and a lot of other cities also. So it's really great support for you during your study at HEC Paris, but also after your study to support you for your career path. You can really count on them. This slide just shows you what set HEC apart from other business schools and what set a program, a master's program, apart from other master's programs. There's 3 main elements. The first one is our high quality standards, is that we try to maximize the class hours and minimize the class sizes. You will never be more than 50 students per classes. And all courses are also only taught by main instructor. We have no assistant teachers. We have about 50% of our teachers that are researchers, and 50% of them are practitioners. So it's also my second point, is that we try to have a perfect balance between theory and practice. Well, in other words, we try to give you the theoretical foundation that you need, but also the practical approach that will allow you to transfer smoothly into your professional life. It meant that during the study at HEC Paris, you'll be also doing a lot of company projects, real-life case studies, and it's really the opportunity for you also to strengthen your connections with different kind of companies for your career placement afterwards. And the last element is about the environment of HEC Paris. It's an inspiring environment as we develop personal development program, as we have a lot of networking events like alumni cocktails, like fairs dedicated to consulting, to finance, and to other kind of sectors. So our career services is really doing an incredible job to do and to organize all those networking events that you can be part of. And finally, but we'll touch on a bit later in the presentation, we have a strong campus social life. This is a quite important slide because it's your overview of all our programs that we have, all master's program that we have at HEC Paris. So our flagship program is the Master in Management, as it's a 2-year program, and it's a very customizable program. The first year is a generalist phase, and then during the second year, you can get specialized. You can get specialized, well, we have various options during this second year. You can choose to stay at HEC Paris. In this case, you can get specialized in the specialization that you see on the at the bottom of the slide. So it means you can get specialized, for example, in finance, in sustainability, in marketing, in entrepreneurship, and many others. Or you can choose to go abroad, and in this case, you can do a double degree. So you can see some of them on this slide, but we have a huge number of different double degrees. We have about 20 different double degrees with partner university. And in the case of the double degree, you'll have a degree from HEC Paris and a degree from the partner university. And finally, for the Master in Management, the third option for the second year is to be part of the STEMS network. And in this case, you will be doing the second year 1 semester at HEC Paris and 1 semester in one of the university that is part of the STEMS network. So very customizable program. It really allows you to enhance also your work experience, as we have a gap year, an optional gap year between the first and the second year. Then you can do what we call M2M, so they're kind of double degrees, with the first year at HEC Paris and the second year in the partner university. So in this case, for example, you will have a specialization in this double degree, which means that, for example, if you'd like to do your double degree at TUM in Munich, you will have a specialization in innovation, management and innovation. You can also get specialized in public affairs. You can get specialized in data science, for instance. So it really depends on the double degree that you choose. And in this case, you will apply directly to the double degree. So it's a bit different of the Master in Management specialization phase. And finally, if you're looking for a 1 year and more focused program, we have MSc program. So in this case, you get specialized in one focused subject. So for instance, finance, strategy, accounting, and many others. Please note that all those programs are taught in English, except the MAC and DME. So yeah, that you can see on the bottom of this slide. MAC and DME, so Média, Art, Création, et Droit and Management International are taught in French, but all the other ones are taught in English. So just a few more information about the MSc programs, which are 1 year program. So for the MSc program, you start the year in September and it ends in June. So you will have 10 months of academic courses, and then you will have to complete at least a 4 months internship. Of course, it can be 6 months or it can be a full-time job, but it's really, I would say, the structure of those programs with the specialization that you can have. So you will have core classes. You can also customize a bit the MSc program with elective courses. And then you will have a study trip and company project to have this practical approach in the program. Well, we're not just going to talk a bit more about the life on the campus at HEC Paris, as the campus is located between Paris and Versailles. You may know Versailles because it's quite well known for the Château de Versailles. So it's really a campus located between those two cities. It's about 20 minutes ride from Paris. But what is important for you to know is that if you're an international student, accommodation on the campus is guaranteed. And it's really what I recommend you to do, to live on the campus, to make the most of HEC experience, because you have all the infrastructure that you need on the campus. You have sport infrastructures, you have libraries, you have classrooms, you have bars, restaurants, and everything that you need to make the most of the experience. It's also, as we previously said, a very international environment with a lot of diversity, and you can get involved in a lot of different associations, as we have more than 130 associations on the campus. So there's really something for everybody, for everyone, for every student. Well, we're just going to end up this presentation, and before we can go, well, you can continue and go on with your question with the application process. So the first thing to know about the application process is that we have a holistic approach when reviewing your application, which means that what is going to be important for us is really the well combination between a competitive GMAT or GRE score, your international exposure, academic excellence, your work experience, including internship or extracurricular activities, and your strong motivation. Which means that, for instance, if your GPA is a bit lower than what you can expect, it can really be counterbalanced, for instance, by a competitive GMAT or GRE score. And it's kind of the same, for example, if you did a lot of internship and you didn't have the opportunity to go abroad, that's totally fine. You can really counterbalance. So yes, keep in mind that there's no perfect profile for HEC Paris. It's really the well combination of all those criteria that is going to be important. And the application process is a 4-step process. So you will start, the first step is to submit your application, to upload all the documents and submit your application according to one of the application deadline. We're just going to have a look at it after this slide. So in the document that we required, we ask you to upload your degree certificates, your transcripts, mentioning your GPA, a 1-page CV, your management test score. It can be the GMAT, the GRE, or the TAJMAJ, and English language proficiency exams. It can be the IELTS, the TOEFL, the TOEIC, or the Cambridge. We also ask for 2 online letters of recommendation. So one at least has to be academic, and the other one can be either academic or professional. And you will have to essay question to complete on the application portal. It's a way for us to assess your motivation and the consistency of your profile according to the program you apply to. So this is the first step, submit your application. Then you will have the admissibility results. So it's the moment when you know whether you're going to have an interview with our team or no. And if you're admissible, you will have an interview with the academic team, and finally you will have the admission results. So if we have, if we now have a look at the application deadlines. So for instance, if I take the example of the third round, because we're currently in the third round, it means that you need to apply no later than March the 3rd. Then you will have the admissibility results and know if you have an interview or not, no later than March 25th, and you will have the final admission results on April the 20th. And same for all the rounds. It's not a rolling basis, which means that you need to submit your application before the application deadline. But you don't need to, it won't be reviewed before the application deadline. So it's quite also important to keep it in mind. And you can start your application as of now, and it will carry over to the next round if you're not ready to apply in the coming round. If you have any other question, well, we're going to take a bit of time to answer your questions right now, but after this presentation, if you have any other question, you can just email us at admissionmasters@hec.fr. You can also have the opportunity to chat with our students on our Unibuddy platform. And yes, don't hesitate also to have a look at our website. I can see the link just at the bottom of the screen. So really don't hesitate to get all the information that you need.
Awesome. Thank you, Eléonore. That was a lot of great information. And so I do have some questions that have come in here, and so we'll jump right into those and try to get a little bit more information out to prospective applicants. So you had touched on the application process for the program. How's the application process at HEC different this year due to COVID? And is there an expectation of an increase in applicants?
This is a good question, and I think that this situation has a lot of different questions from the students. The application process is exactly the same as the one that we have for the previous year, because it's also for us a wish to have an application process that is as fair as possible for all the applicants coming from all different countries. The only difference is that this year we accept online exams. So we accept the online version of the management test, and we accept the online version of the English proficiency exam. But a question about is there an expectation of an increase in applicants? For the moment, we haven't seen an increase or a decrease in the number of applicants as we have this round system with the application. So we don't think it will really change anything due to this situation. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And so I know a lot of schools had taken their instruction online and had removed the on-campus component of the programs. How are things at HEC on campus right now after COVID? Have some of the classes began to go back into the classroom, or are a lot of the classes still being done online?
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, we have, I would say, two priorities at HEC. The first one is, of course, to ensure the security of the student and the health of the student. And the second one is to have and to maintain the academic excellence. So what we decided at the very beginning of this intake is to have an hybrid model between between online courses and in-person courses. So we have about a 50-50. But it's true that we are also a bit compelled by the government policy. And at the moment, it's no longer possible to have courses on the campus. It's also a way for us to preserve the health of the student, of course. So we switched all the courses online. It was by the end of November. To be honest, we hope that when we will be able to do so, to re-switch in this hybrid learning model, because we believe that it's also quite important to have interaction with the students, with the teachers, and to have this model. So we're just crossing fingers and hope that we'll be able to do so during spring. But yes, for the moment, we don't expect for next intake to have full online courses. But once again, we will see how the situation is going to evolve.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, COVID's put a damper on a lot of prospective students' plans. And so trying to answer questions regarding to COVID and kind of how that can impact students and their experience in the program. What is the student life like at HEC Paris during COVID? Are there a lot of opportunities for the students to network with one another, to network with employers? What is that like from their end?
Yes, well, we try to keep as much as possible the life that we used to have on the campus this year. So it means that, for instance, for some programs, we're not able, of course, to do the study trip. So we decided to switch all the conferences and all the campus visits online. So it allows students to have the same connection as the student previously had with companies, for instance. One of the other points is about, of course, as a student life, involvement association, because the associative life is quite intense at HEC Paris, but the students manage it quite well, and they are doing also a lot of events online. We have the chance at the beginning of the year to have students on the campus so they can meet each other and they can get things organized with their associative life. And now they just organize online events, webinars, and they do an incredible job because they're very dynamic in their association. And yes, I think that they just try to adapt, and we try to adapt as much as possible to switch all the aspects that we have in person online. The last thing is that the students, if they like to, can stay on the campus, and most of the international students choose to do so. Because, as we have a campus, they can also they can also benefit from for example, the forest that we have, some sport events, some sport infrastructures from the library. So it's also a way for them to despite the unprecedented time, to make the most of the experience.
Absolutely. Looking through the comments here, one kind of stuck out to me, and I feel like it was something that a lot of students kind of have in regards to the question, and it was, is the master's in management worth it, or should a student consider working for 4 to 5 years and then doing an MBA?
Well, it depends. I would say it depends on your career goal, because the aim of a master program and the aim of an MBA program is not the same. The master's programs are really geared towards students with, I would say, not a lot of work experience, between 0 and 3 years of work experience. So the aim of those programs is really to, as I was saying in the presentation, give you at the same time a practical and a theoretical approach to get prepared for your first job and your first career placement. Whereas the MBA, the aim of an MBA program is to give you the practical foundation that you need to boost your career. So it depends on your own objective. But if you want to boost at the beginning, at the very beginning of your career, in this case, well, a master program is a better fit. But if you already have some work experience, well, yes, in this case, you can choose an MBA program. There's also a question of prices that you can have a look at, but yeah, depending on your own career goal.
Right. Let's see here. So another question, and I feel like it's a question that a lot of students take into consideration when they're applying to a program. Oftentimes there's the notion that if you apply earlier, you have a greater chance of getting admitted to a program. And so does applying in later rounds, round 3, round 4, have an effect on one's ability to get admitted into the program? And does it also have an effect on the scholarship opportunities?
Well, the fact is that at each passing round, the number of spots per program decrease. That is quite mathematical, but our best advice is to apply when your application is the strongest, because as we have 4 rounds, we will guarantee places in the 4 rounds. And if your profile stand out, it will stand out in any round. So really apply when your application is the strongest. If you need more time to prepare and to have a better score at your GMAT, for example, do it. It's always better than applying too quickly with a bad score and not getting admissible or getting admitted in the program. So that's the first part. And the second one, I think that the question of the student was, yes, about the scholarship. For the scholarship, it doesn't change anything, because the application of the student will be reviewed for the HEC, for instance, a scholarship once admitted. So all the application will be reviewed, and it's a merit-based scholarship. So I would say that the 5 that really stand out will be taken into and considered, no matter the round you apply to.
Perfect. Awesome. We have a lot more questions rolling in here, so we're going to try to touch on some of these. And you touched on this a little bit on a previous question, but how is the Master's in Management program different from a regular MBA program in terms of the curriculum and the return on investment?
Well, yes, it's kind of the same. It's that it's not the same return investment as these programs are not dedicated to the same population. We are really targeting students who hold a bachelor, who have about 1 year of work experience, but not that much. Whereas the MBA really targets students with more senior students who already have some work experience. So that's the main difference, and the difference is really also in the course content, as we will give you also theoretical foundation to prepare for your career. So I think that my answer is kind of the same as the one that I previously have. But yes, I think it's really the difference between both of the program.
Awesome. So does HEC have any preference between TOEFL or another sort of exam?
No, it's kind of the same for us. We don't value one exam more than the other, so you can really take the one that you like. One important thing also to keep in mind is that we consider the English exam to be valid for 5 years. So, for instance, if you take it in 2017, it's still fine for us to apply to a program.
Awesome.
The aim of the English test is really just to assess your level in English, that you're able to follow courses in English and to interact with all the students. But yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Here's a good one. So, do you have any tips on how to approach the essay questions? I know that's a daunting task for a lot of prospective applicants, is putting into words what they want the admissions teams to know about them. And so do you have any tips on the best way to answer those?
Well, the aim of the essay question, first you have about 2 or 3 essay questions per program, depending on the program you apply to. They can be the same or they can be different. The example of question that you can have for the essay question can be like, for instance, why did you choose this program? And it can also be questions more related to how you see the world around you. So it can be, for example, what is leadership according to you? Can you give an example of a leader for you? Or a question like, can you talk about the recent news or something like that? So I would say that the aim of the essay question is really to assess your motivation, to also assess the consistency of your profile according to the program, and to also assess how you see, I was saying, the world around you. So I would say that, well, the answer of course will depend on the question. Try to make it concise because it depends on the question, but sometimes you have only 350 words to give your opinion or to introduce yourself. And try to make it concise, to make it impactful, and yeah, that's it. But keep in mind that the aim of this question is to assess motivation and consistency.
Absolutely. Here. Is it difficult for non-European students to find a good job after they complete the Master's in Management program? I'm sure you have students from all over the world coming into the program, and the different backgrounds and the different locations that they're from. Do they find that it's difficult to find a job? Do they have the same sort of outcomes?
Well, yes, indeed. In most of our programs, most of the students are international students and coming from non-European countries, and the employment rate is very good, depending on the program. But it's between 97 and 100% after 3 months of graduation. But that's for I would say, the facts and figures. But to be to be a bit more to give a bit more insight about this question. After the mean, to find a good job, well, it really depends, but most of the students choose to work outside their home country and find a job quite easily in Europe, depending also on your career. But a lot of students would like to do finance, find a work in New York or in Europe. A lot of students want to do consulting, find it also in Europe or also in Asia. So it depends on your career path, but I would say that as you will be at ease in English, and as you will have a degree from HEC Paris, it won't be really an issue. I would say that the main issue of a student is not to find a job, but to find the best opportunity for them. So yes, I know that after this question of visa, things like that, but yes, most of the time, well, for the French case, in any case, the company most of the time take over the visa process. So yes, it's not. I would say that the employment is not the biggest issue for our students. They are well prepared. That they have all the resources that they need to find it.
Awesome. So staying on that same trajectory, does the university help the students land internships? Do they help with setting up mock interviews and resume reviews and all of that stuff?
Yeah, indeed, and it's, I would say, one of the strengths of HEC Paris that we try to give you all the resources that you need to to transfer smoothly into the professional life and to find internship jobs. I would say that you have 3 main resources at HEC Paris. The first one is that the connection that you're going to have with the companies throughout your study. Because you will be doing those case studies, you will be doing those conferences and all kind of projects where you're going to straighten links with different companies. So this is the first one. The second one is the alumni network. We have the chance, as we were saying in the presentation, to have this dynamic and huge alumni networks throughout the world. So it will be your second resources to support you and to help you find a job. And the third one will be the career services. It's the services which organize at HEC Paris a lot of career fairs. I was telling you a bit more about, telling you during the presentation about, for example, fairs dedicated to consulting, to finance. We have also what we call the Carrefour Fair in January. It's about 200 different companies who get reunited to meet the student and to recruit them. And they also, yes, organize workshops and mock interviews to support you with your placement.
Awesome. There's a question that came in regarding the different master's programs, and this individual is specifically interested in knowing how to determine if the master's in management is the right program for them, or if a different specialized master's program, and how will that be different in terms of career opportunities?
Yes, it's really good question. I would say that the main question that you need to ask to yourself to choose between the Master in Management and the MSc is more about your, I would say, your maturity to jump into the job market. It means that I think that the Master in Management is a better choice for you if you're not quite sure at the moment what you want to do, if you want to take time to explore a different kind of expertise, different kind of subject, because it's the aim of the first year, and then get specialized in something during the second year. You also have the opportunity with the Master in Management to do an optional gap year. So it's also a way for you, if you don't have that much work experience, to enhance your experience. So the Master in Management is really a good choice if you don't have any internship or not a lot of internship or work experience, if you're not quite sure at the moment what you want to do, or if you want also to have an international experience, because as I mentioned it in the presentation, you have the opportunity during the second year to do a double degree or to do one semester abroad, thanks to the STEMS network. However, if you are looking for a more focused program, if you already knew what you want to do, and if you already have a bit more work experience or internship, in this case, well, an MSc program can be a better fit.
Absolutely. And so I believe I heard you mention something about a gap year. So this ties right into that. Does having a gap year have an impact on the chances of admissions to the program?
I think that the person is talking about gap year before entering into HEC Paris. No, it can be great, and it can indeed be a plus for your application to have this gap year before getting admitted to HEC Paris. So no, it won't affect your chances of getting admitted.
Awesome. Is there a minimum required GMAT score for the Master's in Management program at HEC? Is there a cutoff? Anything below this, you don't have a chance of admissions, or does HEC take a holistic approach to the application?
Yes, it's a question that a lot of students ask. So I think thanks for your question. Yes, we do have a holistic approach in the application, which means that we're not going to require a minimum GMAT or GRE score. However, what is going to be important is to have really this well combination of all the criteria that we mentioned between your work experiences, between your academic excellence, the GMAT score, the motivation, and the international exposure. But just to give you an idea of the average score of the admitted student, because I know that you want a number, it's the average score of the admitted student for the GMAT, it's around 710, and for the GRE, it's 325. So you can try to target and indicate this score, and yes, but keep in mind that we have this holistic approach.
Right, absolutely. So are the internships, are they offered globally, or are they solely offered within the country?
No, they offered globally. Well, as we have also a lot of international students, and the aim of a student, and as the school also is recognized worldwide, it's really the aim for us to offer you opportunities abroad and not only in France. So no, it's globally, and yes, most of the students choose indeed work in different countries. As we also mentioned it during the presentation, we have the chapters, we have the alumni network all around the world. So the aim is really that you can choose where you want to work and what you want to do at the end of your program, at the end, once you're graduated.
Right. Awesome. And so, staying kind of on that, does not being proficient in French have an impact on an individual's chances in the job market?
Well, it doesn't have an impact in France. Well, not in Europe, sorry. It doesn't have an impact in Europe because you have the opportunity to work in other European countries where English is the basic English language. But in France, it's true that having a basic knowledge in France is really a plus, and it's really preferable to work and to enhance your chances of finding a great opportunity. It's a question of integration at first, and also even if we have a lot of different and a lot of multinational companies in France, yes, basic, I would say at least a basic knowledge in France is preferable.
Absolutely. Let me see, scrolling through here to take a look at the questions that were submitted. The company internships, are you noticing or seeing that the internships, are they done virtually, or are these internships being done at the location of the employer? What seems to be the consensus right now with COVID going on?
Yeah. Well, at the moment, well, maybe surprisingly, I don't know, but most of the students chose, find internship in the companies, and they are not online. For this year, and for the student, for instance, who have their gap year, they find internship in the companies. So it doesn't seem to affect that much their internship.
Awesome. Okay.
Because I think it's also because, a lot of students during the gap year, and also students at the end of the study, we have about like 40%, 35, 40%, depending on the program of students who choose consulting. And in consulting, you have to have also to be present for the clients. So it's gonna be an explanation, but there's several other explanations. But it seems that most of the students succeed in doing the internship in person.
So how many students typically take that gap year? Is it a common thing? Do students utilize that?
Yes, most of the students indeed choose to do this gap year, because it's really an incredible chance to enhance your professional experience, to also experience different kind of opportunities before getting into the job market after graduation. So yes, I would say that nearly all the students choose to do this gap year in the Master in Management, and they are doing so many different kind of incredible and very interesting opportunities. They have a lot of different opportunities, and you have you can do like 6 months, two internship of 6 months during this gap year. So for instance, I have the example of a student who chose to do one internship in New York in finance, and then he chose to do another one in consulting in Dubai. So you have the access to such a strong network and such a lot of connection with companies that it's really also a great opportunity to enhance your CV.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a good opportunity to really try to figure out what route you want to take and build up that experience. And so could you give a few examples of the co-curricular activities which you find in applications of successful students?
It can be a lot of different kind of activities. We have some athletes, some students who are involved in competition, in sport competition, and it's just incredible. But we have also students who are volunteering, doing a lot of volunteer activities abroad. We have students who are head of or president of the association at the university. So it can be very, very wide, and we are open to all kind of extracurricular activities. What is important for us is that you stand out. So it's really a great way also with those extracurricular activities to stand out, to express other skills, like soft skills like team spirit, collaborative spirit, leadership, thanks to your involvement in the extra life of your school or in any kind of extra activities. So it can be really any kind of activities.
Awesome. Let's see. I think we got time for a couple more questions here. Does a person from an architecture background need to have some courses based on management for the Masters in Management program there at HEC?
Well, no, it's not a prerequisite. I would say that in the master in management, you do have some quantitative courses, quite advanced one, and well, I would say that having some quantitative basis is quite important, but you can really, with an architecture background, be accepted in the program. And in this case, if we have a doubt about your quantitative skills, the management test will be a great indicator for us. So that's why we do welcome students from a lot of different backgrounds, because we also consider that if you have a good GMAT score, it's a proof that you have these skills in quantitative subjects, for instance.
Absolutely. Look for a couple more, one or two more questions here. So what's the average, I would assume the question is, what is the average years of work experience of the applicants? I know there's not a requirement that work experience, you have to have work experience, but what do you typically see in the average applicant that's admitted to the program?
Yeah, well, first for them, it depends on the program. I would say that for the master in management, it's really not a prerequisite, but most of the time students have did at least 1 or 2 internships before entering into the program. And for the MSc programs, well, it's also not a prerequisite, but it's really a great asset for your application. And the average is about 1 year of work experience before entering into an MSc program.
Awesome. And the last question, and probably one that a lot of students would be interested in hearing, is what advice do you have for prospective students that are applying to HEC?
Yes, I would say that the first advice is to gather as much information as you can about the program, about the school, because you need also to do the right choice for you. The second one is to be well prepared for your application. So we mentioned several times this management test, and I know that for a lot of you, it's the big point of the application. So yes, take the time to prepare this exam, take the time also to have your letter of recommendation ready and to have everything ready, and apply when you're ready. It's my second really important tips, to really apply when your application is the strongest. Don't hesitate, as we're saying, to send us email, to ask, for example, for a CV review if you have a doubt about your eligibility for a program. Don't hesitate also to chat with the student, because the current student in the program, because they can have really valuable tips about the course content, about the life on the campus, and tips also for the application process. So make everything that you can to make your application as strong as possible, to apply to the program.
Awesome. All right. Well, Eléonore, thank you for taking the time out of your day to share about the programs that you offer at HEC Paris. And I want to thank everyone who tuned in for this first session. Make sure that you register for the subsequent sessions that we have for the rest of the day, and then tomorrow, and then 3 days next week. Again, we have some of the top business schools in the world here who are taking time out of their day to answer questions and share information about the admissions process and about the programs at their schools. And so I look forward to seeing you all, and have a good rest of your day.
Yes, bye-bye.